Thanks to Old School Car Audio Restorations, recently we've been able to obtain some new old stock amplifiers from a store that was closing after over 30 years in business. I will leave links in the video description to the massive unboxing of these 4 amplifiers. Also leave links to videos I've already made showing each one in detail. Well, today we have another one we're going to show in detail. Let's get out of the box, see what's inside. And here we have the Blaupunkt PA2100 2x100 Class T amplifier. The T stands for tripath, and this one's sold at GL Trading Company for $299.99. But let's pull out the good old 2001 Car Audio and Electronics Directory, find out what the MSRP price for this amplifier was. Look at the very top here. We'll see Blaupunkt, the PA2100. Uses efficient tripath Class D chips for high output. It was $360 retail price back then. That's equivalent to about $625 in 2024. If you look at the $300 price that was on the amp, that was around $520 bucks. One of the real cool things about amps back from this time frame was all the details they put on the box. You can see here, it's got all the information you'd ever need to know. Talks about the RMS power, the max power, gives you all the specifications on the box, shows you how the amp hooks up, shows you the accessories that are included, also how the amp looks, how the power terminals work, all that good stuff. That's enough talk about the box. Let's get it open and see what's inside. You can see right here off the bat, at the very top, we have the performance specification sheet as well as a full-size owner's manual. In addition, we have a high to low converter here for speaker level to RCAs. We have a remote gain control. Take notice, 2024, those companies who still charge extra for remote gain knobs. We also have some colorful panels here to make your amp look different. Again, you have to remember, this was over 20 years ago. This stuff was important for people. What else is in the box? We also have some screws for mounting, also some little mounting feet. That's in case you want to mount it without the enclosure. But speaking of the enclosure, let's pull it out and take a look at the amp. Here we go. Plastic enclosure around a DIN style unit for the amplifier. And here are all the accessories that are included. You get a lot of extra stuff here. There's no doubt you got your $300 worth. Taking a closer look at the amp, it's definitely a unique looking design here. There are no connections on any end except for one. We'll see that here as the turntable makes its way around. And we'll talk about each of the different components here individually. You can see we have a plug there for the ground and 12 volt. Also for the speaker leads, we have a plug. These are the Weco style plugs, which Orion and PPI used back in the same time frame. Accepts 8 gauge for power and ground, 40 amp ATC style fuse. And I'm not the biggest fan of these connectors, especially the power and ground one, because it's really hard to fit 8 gauge, even 8 gauge wire in there, very small. The speaker one is okay, but it's too small as well for the wire because it only accepts about 14 gauge wire. You also have a remote gain connection here, pass-through RCAs as well as input RCAs. As we fly over the top of the amp here, you can see there are some more controls underneath this panel, including the crossover, bass boost, and the crossover frequencies for high pass, low pass, as well as the gain control. As far as dimensions go, 7.9 inches by 7.5 by 2.6. You can also see it compared there to the Mel Yellow Can. And let's talk about the engineering benefits of Class T. That's right, tripath technologies gives you the best of both worlds, Class D and Class AB. Gives you low heat, good power, good sound, powered by tripath, PA2100 Blaupunkt. You can also remove the external enclosure so you can easily hide away the amplifier. It does include the remote bass gain, high-level adapter. You can plug into the vehicle first, then wire in the amp. Continuously variable high pass and low pass, bass boost, all that good stuff. As far as ratings go, at 4 ohms, 100 by 2, 2 ohms, 150 by 2, 4 ohms, 300 watts, bridged, all at 13.8 volts. Now, it is unfortunate that one of the channels is weak, which you'll see here on the dyno. The left channel is counting up much slower than the right. We were not able to adjust anything in the amp to make this better, so I think it's related to the tripath chip. So what we're going to do is we're going to test one of the channels here for the dyno test. At 4 ohms, rated 100 watts by 2, certified to 1% distortion. Easily get that 100. We get 172 at 14.32. But it's not really a valid test because we're not loading down both channels. So anyway, just take that into account. But anyway, we're going to just show one of the channels here, then we'll show it bridged. Dynamically, 166 watts at 14.32. Now we'll try 2 ohms, rated 150 by 2 at 13.8. Certified test first, 1 kilohertz. Can we get that 150? Easily, 277, 14.22. Next up, let's try the 1 kilohertz burst into the amp to see. Not quite as much as a certified test. 251, 14.24, still well above the rated power. Next up, we're going to bridge the amp with the outer terminals, positive on the left, negative on the right. And we're going to try it at 4 ohms. It's rated 300 watts, 13.8 volts. Let's see what we get here. Certified test, 1% distortion at 1 kilohertz. And yep, we get it. 327, jumped at the very end there, was 317 at 14.38. Uncertified to clipping. The reason we did uncertified here is because it does quite a bit more. Check this out. Over 400, 427, right at 14 volts. Pulled 49 amps, but again, we didn't pop the fuse because of the time duration. Dynamic burst here, 1 kilohertz, 436 watts, 14.24. Jumped to 455 right here at the end. Now, unfortunately for the results here, take them with a grain of salt because we only used 1 channel for the stereo test and not 2, which doesn't load the power supply down as much and just not going to be as valid as it should be. But on the bridge mode, we did load both channels down. You can see in most tests, we did meet and exceed the rated specs. Now, Betty tested this amp back in 2001 and got 123 watts per channel at 4 ohms, 190 per channel at 2 ohms, 384 bridged at 4 ohms. Going back to my results and only testing 1 channel in stereo mode and the issues I experienced with the other channel being lower, those who are technicians know these tri-path chips definitely have had problems over the years. They haven't lasted, and definitely when they have issues, they're not easily replaceable because they're no longer made. And that makes it difficult for us 20 some years later to get valid tests when the core component of this amplifier definitely has some issues. But let's take a look inside this Blaupunkt PA2100. There you can see the crossover gain control board, all that there on the right. Also see transformer. We see some capacitors. We'll do a flyover here so you can get a better look at all the goodies inside. It's kind of packed in there, pretty tight. And it does have a MOSFET power supply as well as MOSFET outputs according to the manual. 1000 microfarad, 35 volts here on the rails, and the power supply section has a single 1000 microfarad, 25 volt filter cap. Here we'll take out 4 additional screws here on this daughter board, as well as pull out the small connectors so we can take a closer look at it. It's got 6-pin connector here on the bottom, little header connector that goes into the circuit board, as well as the 2 small connectors that plug in to the amp to transmit the signal. Here is the tri-path chip by Texas Instruments. It's kind of long. It does have a piece of foam on top, which I didn't remove because it was glued down. But that is the heart of this amp, and I think that's where the problem is, unfortunately. Well, there you have it, the Blaupunkt PA2100. We pretty much showed you all about it. We showed you on the dyno. Hope you guys appreciated the test. Till next time, more videos coming. This Big D, I'm out of here. Knowing this amp is not 1 ohm stereo or 2 ohm mono stable, we're still going to try it at 2 ohms mono with a dynamic test at 1 kilohertz. Check it out. We get over 660 watts, 14.42.